What is up? Welcome to the Dynasty Show. Tonight we are talking about Dynasty wide receivers. Let's talk about the top five. There's a lot going on with these guys. Marvin Harrison now enters the conversation, right? Where do we put him? Is he considered in the top five? So let's talk about it. Kev, what up, Kev? What's goody, Kev? What is going on? You still got rookie drafts going on, or what do you guys got going on? I think I still have like two more left. One. Yeah, I still got two more left. But for the most part, I'm done with rookie drafts. I don't know if a lot of people still do have them. I know there's a lot of leagues that wait until later on or wait until a lot closer to the season. But most of us degenerates, they happen quickly after the NFL draft. Robert, what up, Robert? Mystic, what's good? What is up? But yeah, we're gonna be talking wide receivers tonight. Dynasty Life Discord over the sleeper. Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely get into the Discord if you guys are not into the Discord yet. We have some good conversations there in the Discord. And it's an easy way to like get an answer, right away from somebody. I'm not always available to answer right away, but usually at least somebody is. So we have some good conversations in there. Diaz, what up, Diaz? Chaotic in the building, what up? Done with rookie draft. Now the boring wait. Yeah, now we get into that quiet time a little bit, until we get closer to the season towards the end of mine. 14 team super flex. Okay, start. Oh, you're in a startup. Okay, yeah. Now also startups are happening too, right? That's not going to stop. Startups are going to keep continuing to happen. Bogey, what's good, Bogey? But yeah, I got no. I'm only doing one more. I'm only doing one startup. One more startup for this season, and that will be closer towards the season. But right now, I mean, we're just going through our teams, checking waivers, who's out there, who can we add to the squad, what moves can we make. But yeah, let's talk about these top five dynasty wide receivers, right? I mean, I know like the top three you can kind of mix and match how you want, but like where does Marvin enter the conversation? Um, but I guess let's start with CD, right? I mean, a lot of people have CD as their number one wide receiver right now in Dynasty because of the season that he just had. But is that too much of a recency bias, or is that legit? Like he is tied to Dak. At least we think he is. I mean, Dak obviously needs to get signed, but Justin Jefferson now doesn't have the quarterback. Jamar Chase does have the quarterback. So I feel like those top three, it has to be those three, and what order you have them doesn't really matter to me because you can tell yourself any situation really that you want to. CD's tied to Dak, Burrow Chase is tied to Burrow, Justin Jefferson doesn't have that doesn't have that quarterback really, or does he? We don't know what JJ McCarthy is going to bring, or Sam Darnold, for that matter. So do we feel more comfortable with CD and Jamar Chase? Does that automatically put them above Justin Jefferson? Let's just say this is my team: Caleb Herbert, Kyler Brock, JT Neighbors T, Addison Ladd, Levis, Leggett, Sinnott, Dotson, Chuba, Musgrave, Brissett, Darnold. Caleb Herbert, Kyler, okay. You still got Brock, JT Neighbors T, Addison, Ladd, okay. And you got Levis. Not too bad. And that's a 14 team, you said, right? Yeah, start 11. Okay. I like it. You got quarterbacks locked. You got a tight end in there, and you got value. Got some good wide receivers. I like it. Hassan, what's up, Hassan? Good, good. How about you? Robert said, "Mr. Draft, my draft hasn't happened yet. I have a second pick overall." Okay, I believe first overall is taking Harrison. I'm thinking about Odunze. Thoughts? Is that one QB, Robert? I'm guessing. I'm guessing that's one QB. So yeah, I mean, you can go Odunze or Neighbors. I mean, you can make the case for Odunze because he has the quarterback and he's going to kind of grow with Caleb, where Neighbors doesn't have the quarterback. Um, but can you wait, right? What if it doesn't happen this season for Odunze, right? There's a possibility maybe he's the wide receiver 2 or becomes a wide receiver 1 right away, maybe even over Keenan Allen. And there's also a possibility that he's the third option and doesn't have a great like first season. Um so you can argue that Neighbors might be better off right off the bat, but he also doesn't have the quarterback. So that's really for you to decide. There's no right or wrong there. I mean, whichever you prefer there is fine, but it's definitely one of those 2 guys. It's 2 QB, so if it's 2 QB, I mean, what quarterbacks do you have? You got Jordan Love and Stroud. So, I mean, yeah, I kinda wanna just take Caleb, then you got Jordan Love, Stroud, and Caleb. It's 2 quarterbacks, so it's gotta be pretty expensive to, to get a quarterback. Can you move back if you don't want the quarterback? Somebody's gotta be wanting to move up to get the quarterback there. There's gotta be. Especially if it's 2 quarterback, like, it's not even super flex. You have to start an extra quarterback. Daniel Berry, what up? What up, Berry? But, yeah, how we feeling about the top 3 guys, right? Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. Which one is the dynasty wide receiver 1? What order do you have them in? On top of that, which has been the hardest to, like, attain? I feel like CeeDee's been the hardest to attain almost because of what he did so recently. Since Justin Jefferson doesn't have the quarterback, he's been the easiest to attain. Even Jamar Chase, I've bought like 3 Jamar Chases this offseason just because people are just so recent on the Joe Burrow. Like, okay, Joe Burrow was hurt. Like, I mean, he's a quarterback. It was kind of like freak accidents, like the way he's getting hurt. It's not like he's a rushing quarterback and he's taking these crazy hits. So, like I said, you can make the argument for all 3, but out in the market, it feels like CD is a lot harder to get. Like, you have to pay up a lot more to get CD. People are more willing to give up a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase. And then once you get to, like, then you get Amon-Ra, right? Right after that, we have what? Amon-Ra, Marvin, Puka, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. You kinda have those few names that are after that, right? For me, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, right, at 4, and then it's like, okay, is it a 4A, 4B? Like, is Marvin right there? Can we put Marvin ahead of Puka? I mean, how long is Matt Stafford the quarterback, or how long is Sean McVay there? Like, does that affect like the Puka value when you're looking at long term, where a guy like Amon-Ra, safe with Jared Goff, we know he's the number 1 option. Both of these guys are paid. You can feel comfortable with that. Marvin is, a young wide receiver coming in. You know what? He's going to be what, 22. He's going to have a quarterback in Kyler Murray. So does he knock off right there the top 5? Is it Amon-Ra and Marvin, and that's the top 5, and then Puka comes in at 6, some type of Puka, G. Willie, AJ Brown, Neighbors. I feel like you gotta like, for me, I have to put him ahead of Puka, I feel like, because you feel comfortable with the situation. Some wide receivers still have questions. Yeah, a lot there's always questions. I don't know, the whole Dak thing, like, I doubt they let like Dak walk. So like I'm not as worried about that in particular. So I feel like Lamb is pretty safe. I feel like Chase is safe. JJ is even safe, like, because it doesn't matter really who the quarterback is. We've seen him produce like numbers even without like the great quarterback. Lamb at the top. Yeah, like do you feel more comfortable with Lamb? Like what is it that makes you want Lamb over them? Is it because you feel like that quarterback situation is gonna be consistent? And it feels like they're gonna still throw the ball a ton. JJ QB, exactly. Chase if Burrow gets hurt again. Exactly, and that's how I'm seeing it as well. I'm seeing, like, that it's easier to get JJ or Chase. Those guys are more available than CD is. Not a CD fan. Why not a CD fan? What is the reason for not being a CD fan, right? He does have Dak. Dak's throwing the ball. We saw what they did last season, obviously. I don't feel like much has changed now other than maybe questions about Dak, but I don't feel like much has changed. Amon-Ra has been the easiest to get. Yeah, I haven't seen Amon-Ra been that easy to get. I mean, he's considered after those guys, so people are willing to kinda try and tear downish from that, I guess. Marvin's in the Puka Wilson range. Yeah, like, who's the next guy after that? Who's 5? I feel like it's gotta be Marvin. I don't know, can you put Marvin ahead of Amon-Ra? I feel like we have to almost, like, see it first, right? Like, do we need a season of it? Can you argue Marvin Harrison as the wide receiver 1 because of his age going into a good situation? I think some maybe could argue that, but do we have to see it first? We've seen some of these guys put up insane seasons, like, we haven't seen that from Marv yet. He's a Dallas Cowboy. Can't be that biased, I mean, AJ Brown? I mean, AJ Brown's a little further down, he's kinda more into, like, the 6 to 10-ish range, right? I mean, if you're looking at keep, trade, cut, he's wide receiver 8, like, they've got Puka ahead of him, Garrett Wilson. Can you argue AJ Brown over those guys? I don't know if we could argue him over Puka because of what he did. Can you argue him over Garrett Wilson? I mean, there's, like, 24, what is that, 3-year age difference, give or take? So, like, how much do you wanna value the production over, like, the youth of having Garrett Wilson? So, I mean, he's definitely top 10 AJ. It's just, like, how high really can you put him? I think anywhere in, like, the 5 to 8 range, you can like, that's where he kinda belongs. He's in that tier, so, mix it how you want it, but, I mean, he's only gonna be, what, 27? So he's still like, he's not that old, AJ Brown. He's been pretty easy to get too, like, he's been available, like, I don't people are just off for whatever reason. Like, so he's a little bit under the radar to try and get like, if you can't get the top like, there's some leagues I'm in where I have, like, 2 of the top guys already, and I just can't get, like, a 3rd or 4th, like, top 5 guy. I can't do it. So then you're forced, like, into that next tier where it's the Pukas, the Garrett Wilsons, the AJ Browns, the Olaves, and, like, even though you put AJ Brown in your rankings or you value him, you know, a little bit under like a Puka or a Garrett Wilson, like, I feel like I want to get to AJ Brown instead of those guys, like, I want the points. If I can't get any of the top 5 guys, like, I feel like in that tier, like, AJ Brown is probably my favorite to target. Ryan, thoughts on sending ETN for Pacheco and a first? ETN for Pacheco and a first. Dynasty win now. I'm okay with getting the first. I'm okay with getting the first. If you wanna tear down and pick up the asset, you don't mind losing ETN, you still get a startable running back, a guy that should be like a fringe RB1-ish, high-end RB2. You know, you're not gonna get the top 5 upside that ETN could possibly give you, but you're getting that first on top of it. So, I mean, I like the tear down. I don't mind it. And how good is that first gonna be also? Is that like one of the okay teams, a mid team, good team, bad team? But yeah, I like it. Oh, it's your first. So you're getting Pacheco and your first back. So it'll be what, a late first if you're in there. But yeah, okay, I like that. Some also think Amon-Ra St. Brown is capped because of golf. Well, let's pull up Amon-Ra real quick. I mean, I don't what's capped necessarily? Like he finished as wide receiver 3, 164 targets, 119 catches for 1,500 yards and a double digit 10 touchdowns. So is that capped like top 3 production? I mean, that's as high as you can get pretty much, right? You know, year before that, 106 for 146 and 1,100. So, I mean, he improved in all areas. Golf improved like that. He's the man now. So I wouldn't say he's necessarily capped, but why do you think that, Kev? Why do you say he's capped and what does that necessarily mean for you? Is it capped like he can't have an 1,800 yard season like a Justin Jefferson or a CD or a Chase? Like I feel that, and that's why he's got to be the fourth guy. Like I feel that, but McCarthy wants to throw the ball. He likes to hyper target his main guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chase has been the easiest to get for me, as well. Yep, me as well. All this off season. CD Marv, Amon-Ra, JJ Chase, 1 to 5 based on how easy to or intricate has been. Yep, I agree. It's been hard. JJ could be climbing back up with McCarthy. That is true. If people are believing. But then again, like McCarthy might not start also. So like when Sam Darnold is the starter, like you might be able to take advantage of some people too, like at that point. Superflex win now, send Tank Dell, wide receiver 6, Kamara, RB 3, 4, and a future second for Tyreek CMC. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, that's your wide receiver 6 and your RB 3 or 4. Like to get a hammer, I'm good with that. I mean, if Dell is the wide receiver 6, like Kamara's 3, 4, I mean, do you go for CMC or do you go for Tyreek? Like, I think I want CMC. I mean, if Dell's your wide receiver 6, you're pretty good at wide receiver. Hustling Bruce, what's up, Bruce? Good evening. Would you trade CJ Stroud for Tua and Justin Jefferson? I would, yes. 2 quarterback super flex. Yeah, give me Tua and Justin Jefferson. I mean, it's a tear down, but you're getting Justin Jefferson like on top of it. I feel comfortable with Tua, and I know Tua didn't get the contract yet, but we always do this, or at least the community does this, right? For the last 2 years on this channel, at least, we've been advocating to go and buy Jared Goff. Like he's pretty easily to attain. He doesn't cost a ton, and he's giving you solid production, top 12, top 10 production. And he's got wide receivers. He's in a good offense. He's got weapons around him. And now that he got the contract, we're going to see him start going higher, in startup drafts. But typically, you're able to get him at a good price. And that's what's going to happen with Tua, I think. I mean, don't forget, Tua led the league in, passing last year. And then, they were kind of up and down on top of that. So, if Tua gets the contract, and of course there's still risk because he doesn't have the contract yet, but who else are they going to go out there and get? Um, so for me, like unless there's a major injury to Tua, like I think he's going to get the contract. They've said they've been talking about it, so we'll see what happens. But I'm okay with doing that, getting Justin Jefferson. Now who's your other quarterbacks? Who's your other quarterbacks as well? Evans capped because of Baker? No, yeah. Was capped, like, lied to because of Goff. People just don't like Goff. Yeah, does not get as many TDs. He did have double digit. I mean, he didn't have before, he had what, 5 and then 6, the seasons before, but the offense has taken another step. Like they've taken it to that next level. And he has a great floor, so makes it yeah, Goff contract makes a better situation. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we knew the Goff contract was coming. I mean, how could it not? Like Goff's played well, you know? And he followed it up with another solid season, and that's exactly what he needed to do. So he's good for about 30 tutties. He's gonna give you 30 tutties and 4,500 yards. Like that's what he's gonna do. And Amon-Ra's gonna give you 1,400, 1,500 yards, 100 something catches, and just around like double digit tutties. Yeah, the coordinator staying was good too. That's important. Coordinator leaves and you worry about Ra, yeah. Well, you would think that just the team in general, especially if they're, like, so successful for a certain amount of time, running certain things, getting Amon-Ra the ball in certain situations, that they, even though the coordinator leaves, somehow stick to a certain game plan around what they were doing, but, yeah, for sure, things could possibly change. Example, please, for golf. What do you mean? What example do you need, Robert? Yeah, Lions have stability, yep, yep. Yeah, I mean, they've got a ton of guys they can give the ball to, so, they're talking about now Gibbs is starting to gonna be getting a little bit more, so, I mean, we know what that 1-2 punch is. We know the wide receiver they have, the tight end, the quarterback, so rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, but that's what you can count on just about 30 tutties. The last 2 seasons, he's thrown 29 and 30 tutties, 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards, and I think that's what we're gonna get. He's finished as QB 10 and QB 7. That's what he's gonna be. He's gonna be around, like, QB 8 to 12, like, that's kinda what he's gonna be, and absolutely fine for that, but now that he gets the contract, like, he's gonna be more expensive. That's just how it is. It's just that that's how the market is. I had one guy in the offseason I was, trying to trade for golf, and he was trying to make me overpay a little bit at that time, and he's like, "Oh, you better pay for it now because once he gets the contract, like, I'll be able to charge a lot more?" So, like, people think that way, and that's how it is. Once the security is there, boom, that's when the price starts to move up. So sometimes you gotta take that chance and go at it, go get them a little bit earlier. Isaac, what up, Isaac? Lions gonna eat. Yeah, I mean, listen, they got an awesome offense. I mean, I don't expect much to change. I expect much of the same to happen, you know? Expect much of the same to happen. Amon-Ra is as safe as can be. He should again have another like top 5-ish finish, top 3-ish finish. We'll see what happens with some of these other guys coming back. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. For me, like I think Jamar Chase and Burrow, if Burrow stays healthy, like I think they're gonna explode. Like they're gonna have an insane season, like for real. But I think you're gonna see like a crazy 1,700, 1,800 yard season from Chase. Like 15 tutties. Like I think they're really about to about to do something. I mean, we've pushed down Chase, we've pushed down Burrow, and all we just need is him to be healthy, and I know that's a big ask to some people, but that's how I'm feeling about Chase. Edie should do much of the same he did last year. And then, again, the question with Justin Jefferson, like, how good is he still gonna be? So and then Marv, like, is it fair to put Marv into the top 3 already or over Amon-Ra? Like, where are we putting Marv? Like, where do you guys feel Marv is? I mean, for me, again, he's right there after the big 3. He's with Amon-Ra in, like, that 4th slot. And you put him over Amon-Ra, or do we have to see it first? And what are we even expecting from Marvin? Like, for him to be wide receiver 1 next year, what kind of season do we gotta see from Marv? Is it, a top 10 fantasy finish? Is it like 1,300 yards, 1,400 yards? Is it like 1,500 yards? Do we have to see a Puka type? We've seen what JJ and Chase has done, like, he's gotta do something like that. I think that's what people are expecting. But what if he only has, like, 1,000 yards? Like, you know? Like, what are we feeling? What do we feel about that? Jameson Williams finally gonna be a yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about Jameson. He's gonna get whatever's left, he's gonna catch whatever's left. I don't think he's taking anything away from Amon-Ra. They're definitely 2 different wide receivers, so that could open it up for, both of those guys with Jameson on the deep and then Amon-Ra underneath, so I put CD. Yeah, I'm good with, any of those 3 you can argue with, right? JJ, Chase, CD. You can make the argument for either of them. Think I still like JJ there just because 'cause we've seen he can still do it without even a great quarterback, so and he's just gotten better, like, every season, which has been crazy, and then, I don't know, is it Chase? Is it CD? Like, it doesn't even matter really which one. It all cost a fortune to go get. It's just which one is available, which one is more available, which one can you actually buy? Like, I've got extra firsts in one league, extra 25 firsts, and I'm trying to buy, like, a stud right now, and I can't do it, so Imma have to wait. But which one am I gonna be able to go after, during the season? Because it ain't working right now. Or again, do you settle and start going into that AJ Brownish territory, right? So, like, in your guys' leagues, who are you going after? Like, who are you tearing up to? Like, for me, in pretty much almost all my leagues except for one, I have at least one of these top 3 guys. And in some leagues, I have multiple of them. But I always like to have at least one stud wide receiver, um, and 2 good quarterbacks that I don't have to worry about. And I have a ton of Jared Goff as my 2nd QB, so yeah, which of these guys are you going after? Can you even going after any of these guys? And if you can't, what is the strategy at that point? Are we just starting to get in like, do we go after the AJ Brown over the Garrett Wilson or the Puka? Like, is AJ Brown is the next, like, attainable asset that's going to give you great points, but also still gonna be, like, valuable? Like, for me, that's what I've been trying to do is go after AJ Brown. Garrett Wilson's nice, but now like okay, he's got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers stay healthy. That's great. What happens after that? Like, and it's hard to get him because he's so young. People don't want to give him up. So like the next guy that I've seen being able to try and get is AJ Brown. It's harder to get the Pukas, the Garrett Wilsons. Like, nope. They don't want to give up those guys. Because after that, like then it's the big, huge tier with all of those other guys like Olave and London and Ayuk and Waddle and Devonta. Like it's all those next tier, wide receiver two-ish guys. And I've got one team where I can't get into the top guys, so I'm just banging out that next tier of guys, like the Olaves, the Londons, the Waddles, Devontas. Like I've got a team full of those guys because I can't get into the top tier, so I'm just banging out that whole next tier and all of my flexes. Not over Amon-Ra yet. I live in Arizona. We're not worried about Marvin. We're more curious about Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray's always been the same kind of guy. Like, he's not a great pocket quarterback. He's always trying to scramble, trying to find some shit. Like, he's not like a structured guy, it feels like. And he's never been a good, like, quarterback. He's been great for fantasy, and he's got a contract. So we feel safe. We don't really care almost how good they are. We just know Kyler Murray's going to give us top 10 fantasy production, and hopefully Marvin, is able to do the same. Help Jared Goff down the stretch. Yeah. Who's the next number one that's playing as a number two? I mean, it, it could be, I guess, like the next guys up could be like a Neighbors when he gets a quarterback, Olave when he gets a quarterback. He's going to be, launched into that territory, right? The Odunzes. The London is kind of up there already in that territory for me, in that top 10ish territory because he's got the quarterback now. Um, when Cheetah goes, maybe Waddle jumps into it. Devonta can't. He's stuck where he's at. Pittman is kind of stuck where he's at too. DJ Moore stuck where he's at. Like Nico Collins, I think he's fell down a lot because of the whole Dig situation and Tank Dell. I think people are unsure like which one is the guy. I mean, I've always been saying Nico is the guy. So for me, like I'm grabbing as much Nico as I can, but Tank Dell might be a little bit cheaper. So I'm okay with grabbing Tank Dell shares, but I feel like Nico is the alpha guy. So, I feel like Nico could jump into that next tier, especially after Diggs leaves, or if he even shows it this year and he gets the contract. Like he doesn't have a contract as well. That's the other risk that you take on with Nico is like, what if they don't sign him? But then what if he goes somewhere else? What if he goes to the Bills? If he goes to the Chiefs? Like, who knows where he can go? Um, Tank Dell, Addison, Flowers, I feel like they're all flat. They're just all wide receiver twos. T. Higgins possibly if he goes to a new team, can he jump up into the next tier? Does he go to a great spot? Pickens has always been a weird one. I never loved Pickens, but I mean, I guess you can say he does have an opportunity to show like that he can be an alpha one. I mean, that those would be kind of the next guys almost, that would be kind of the next guys up. I think Christian Watson is kind of a sneaky value kind of guy where he's incredibly cheap, wide receiver 41 on Keep Trade Cut. Not saying he deserves to be any higher, but he is a guy that if he can kind of consistently show you something, especially with Jordan Love at quarterback, that he could kind of jump up in rankings. But those would be the few guys that I think can kind of make that jump from that huge tier up into that tier above. AJ's a great mix of production, still in his early prime, plus a fresh contract. Yeah, was good IDub. But yeah, AJ Brown, he's about to be what 27, I think it was. So he's still got some prime years left of solid production. And he's still going to be like valuable on the market. Like as the years goes on, obviously he'll get less valuable, but I like targeting AJ Brown. I think some people are off just because of the age. Some people are off just because of the Eagles just in general, like not playing great down the stretch, him not playing great down the stretch. So banging out that next tier guys, no Diddy. JSN, yeah, JSN is a possibility too, but he still has DK there, so he's always going to be, as long as DK is there, he'll always be stuck in that kind of tierish too. Like unless he can overtake that and actually finish like as a top 10, top 10 in fantasy for us. But otherwise, it's always been like a DK and Lockett. They've always been like those high end wide receiver twos, like back end wide receiver ones. That's what they've always kind of been. So, with DK there, like obviously he's going to be somewhat limited. So I think he can get up into the middle of that tier or possibly to the top of that tier. But to jump that tier, like he's going to have to finish, like top 10. And that might be tough still with obviously Lockett still there. So I don't think that's going to happen this year. Maybe that takes another year or two, but I think he can make like the next jump up from where he's at right now back into the tier like he was originally almost. Yeah, there's a huge tier of guys that can kind of move up in that tier, and there's some guys that can move down in that tier. I think Waddle is like an interesting one, right? He's always kind of held his value, and then a little bit banged up last year. Didn't have a great season, so a little bit down. What if the same thing happens again? What if he finishes like wide receiver 30? Like his value is going to drop. And like I said, Devonta's stuck where he's at. He signed the contract, so like he's very safe, Devonta. I've got Devonta in a couple leagues, and he's going to have some good weeks. He's going to have some bad weeks, but he's going to give you solid production. Like Pittman, like I don't know if he's at his peak or maybe he was at his peak already. How much higher can he go from where he's at? Can he jump above the Devonta, Waddle, Ayuk type? But we expect London to have a big year this year. And if London has a big year this year, he'll be up into that top 10 range, right? Over Olave, if he has a better season than Olave here. He'll enter that Puka, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. Comfort Neighbors has been like a DJ Moore. I mean, Matt Waldman called him like a prime Odell Beckham. So we'll see. I mean, the guy can move. Like if you watch him, even in some of just the practice tape from now, like the little short clips, like the way he can pluck it out, the hands that he has, his ability to just like start and stop and go. So we just need him. We just need a quarterback. You just need a quarterback. He's only 20. He'll be 21, I think, during the season or the start of the season. He'll be 21. So he is a year younger than Marvin. Geez, 6 years younger than AJ Brown. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. It's interesting to see what they're going to do with Neighbors too. Are they going to like just play him at X? Are they going to move him around a little bit? What we do know is that or at least he should get a ton of targets. He should command a ton of targets. So we'll see how good Daniel Jones, can actually get him the damn ball. But so yeah, I mean, look, if we can't put him ahead of Amon-Ra, right? We've kind of established a top 4 at least, right? Is it Marvin at 5, or do we still have Puka? Like, how are you guys feeling about Puka, Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown? Like, how do you feel about those guys? How are we particularly putting those guys in order from there? Is it Marvin ahead of Puka? Is it Marvin ahead of Garrett Wilson, ahead of AJ Brown? It is Dynasty, right? So we gotta project a little bit, right? I mean, it's not a huge difference in age when you're talking about, like, Puka, it's like it was 1 year, Garrett Wilson is 2 years. But quarterback situation, I think I've gotta put him after Amon-Ra, especially just because the way the market is, right? People are going crazy for Marvin right now. You can't just go buy Marvin. It's hard. You know, it costs a ton. People are valuing him like those top 3 guys. I think Olave is another interesting one, kinda like Waddle, where, like, if he doesn't produce, does he still gonna keep his, his value there? But, yeah, I think the top 5 is interesting, especially the way that people have them. More importantly, just kinda who is available, who is attainable, I don't care which one of these guys I have, I just want, the cheapest one, and I'll take, whoever it is. Yeah, concerns about Puka once Stafford is done, that's fair. Definitely a concern. Definitely something to look at when you're kinda, when you're looking at the rankings here, right? We saw Garrett Wilson still survive as a wide receiver too. Like, can Puka still survive as at least a wide receiver too without it, without the quarterback? But what's gonna happen is, and it happens with all these guys, right? When you're talking about the top guys, right? They've all got, quarterbacks. Obviously, we can't say we don't know yet about Justin Jefferson, but most of these other guys all have quarterbacks, right? Garrett Wilson. But then once you move down into those wide receiver twos, it's like they're either wide receiver twos on their own team or they're wide receiver ones on their team, but they don't have a quarterback. So it's gonna fluctuate. Once Puka doesn't have a quarterback, he'll move down, to like the 8 to 12 range, right? It's just gonna fluctuate back and forth. Peacock, what up, Peacock? Got offered Schultz and Rashid Shaheed for my AD Mitchell. Don't want to have to cut the roster space though. I mean, is it tight end premium? Like, do you need Schultz? I don't know if we care much for Rashid Shaheed, but AD Mitchell, people love AD Mitchell. Like, so unless it's tight end premium, I mean, I probably just keep AD Mitchell. Neighbors over Marvin Harrison in the short term. Long term, another story. Do you mean the other way? Marvin over Neighbors? I mean, Marvin over Neighbors for sure, especially right now with the quarterback situation. Even long term, I mean, what's gonna happen with Neighbors? Like, is he ever gonna get a quarterback? Who's that quarterback gonna be? Yeah, if you got Kittle and Hawkinson already, then there's no reason, I guess, for Schultz. I think that for Neighbors, we know the profile, we know how good he is, so it's just gonna be like Olave and like London and like Garrett Wilson. right? He finishes, hopefully as some kind of wide receiver 2 or, maybe at worst wide receiver 3 and we give him a pass, right? Because he doesn't have a great quarterback. We know, so we give him a pass. He's still going to hold his value. So good season or not, like he's going to hold his value. Odunze, same thing. He's going to hold his value. Some of these guys are going to be safe, to hold on to their value. I think Houston is definitely going to be an interesting situation there. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Nico? Is it Dell? T. Higgins, of course. I think Addison is stuck. Zay Flowers is stuck. Even Tank Dell, for me, I feel like is stuck. DK, he's stuck. DJ Moore, you can say, is about to be stuck. Like just in that, they're just stuck in that range. Um, But yeah, I just wanted to get on, talk about the top 5-ish dynasty wide receivers, see who's kind of been available for you guys, if you guys have been able to buy any of these guys, why. But yeah, I'm seeing same thing kind of like you guys out there. CD's been the hardest to acquire. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has been the easiest. I've been able to get a few shares of him this offseason. So, take advantage of, again, it's just take advantage of the ups and downs, right? I think a lot of people are just so stuck on this player or that player. Like, should I take this player or should I take that player? Like, I don't know. I mean, take take whichever guy that you want, I guess. Like, again, you can paint the picture for anything that you want, but think about more about the strategy. Think about more, gaining assets and being able to spend those assets to get some of these top guys, right? How do you get some of these top guys? I mean, it's sometimes selling some of those middle guys. It's selling the Olaves and and the Londons and the Ayuks and the Waddles. Like so it's selling those guys sometimes. It's gaining picks or it's tearing up from those guys, right? Because you have the assets, because you have the picks, especially first round picks, right? You want to buy any of these guys, like you need a few first round picks. So, collect the picks and then try and buy some of these guys or cheer up from some of these other guys, right? George Pickens, T. Higgins, Jaden Reed. Like we've been trying to tell everybody, just cheer up from these guys while you have the chance, why they're valued particularly high in the community. Take advantage and cheer up. You think Dak goes to the Giants? There's rumbles. I don't know. I doubt it until it actually happens. I mean, Dallas doesn't have an answer at quarterback, so I doubt they're just going to, especially when you got CD on that team. Like you got a good defense. I don't think they're just gonna pay Dak. Like who else are they gonna get? So I don't know. Especially when it comes to quarterbacks, like that's such a huge thing. So I think they're keeping Dak. I mean, Dak hasn't played horrible. I mean, I guess you could say in big games or in like football wise, yeah, he's been great for us for fantasy though. Um, Even if Dak does go somewhere else, we'll be okay. We'll be okay with Dak going wherever. Like we know he can play, at least for fantasy purposes. But yeah, any questions you guys have, throw them out there before I get up out of here. And I'll be on tomorrow night, 10 Eastern as well. I'll have Fantasy Flojo with me. We're gonna do just a 2-round rookie draft. We're gonna talk about how we're feeling about some of these rookies. And after that, I'm pretty much done with all the rookie stuff. I mean, I put out a ton of content on the rookies. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you guys are, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys check out those videos. I pretty much put out for everything on the rookie drafts, taxi squad guys, wide receivers, running backs, who my favorite values are, my favorite guys to pick. So make sure you guys check out all that. But we've covered pretty much everything rookie draft wise. I don't think there's anything else really much for us to cover as far as the rookies are concerned right now. So if you have any questions or anything, of course you can hit us up on Instagram or uh, join the Discord, right? On Instagram, the link is there. Link should be in the description of any of the videos I posted on my channel, Dynasty Life Fantasy Football, as well. So just hop in the Discord, and we're having daily conversations over there as well. 3 teams, 14 teams startup. There's 3 teams with no QB2. Wow. Yeah. So that's crazy. I have all these QBs. All those QBs also took Brissett and Darnold. I'm cold. Yeah, I mean, listen, they're if they're not gonna respect the QB position, I mean, take them. But at some point, you what are you gonna do with all of them? So you want seconds for them? Yeah, for those guys. Where's Hammer? Hammer's on a hiatus right now. He's taking a little break. Hammer's got some stuff going on, so he's taking a little break. He'll be back soon enough, though. He'll be back soon enough. So you just got me solo. But yeah, appreciate everybody for coming out as always. Make sure you guys hit the like for us, hit the subscribe if you're new. It's a great way to support the channel on the road to 1,000 subs on the Dynasty Life channel here. And we're here every Tuesday night, every Tuesday, 10 Eastern. We're live talking about whatever, answering questions, trade questions, strategy questions. We are getting into now the off season where it might be a little bit quiet, for a little bit in a lot of leagues. So, what are we doing now in this quiet time? What kind of trades are we looking at? Or what kind of guys are we looking to buy as we get closer to the season? So we'll talk about a lot of stuff during the off season. I mean, there's always something to talk about. There's always some kind of news going on. We'll always have some kind of rankings to do and stuff. So a lot of stuff coming. But yeah, we'll be on again my channel tomorrow, 10 Eastern. Appreciate y'all for coming, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.